SJ. Welcome to Mvskoke Radio, your weekly source for tribal and community news, interesting guests and discussions, plus a local events calendar. SJ, Stongo, Gary Fife, Joe Jifkidos, Mvskoke Radio, Mabu Hedjidowedskis. Welcome to our program again this week. I'm Gary, and we've got several ideas here that we're going to try and pack into our program. First of all, we'll be talking to a couple of folks who are working on the Council House project, the crown jewel of the downtown Mvskoke area, and we'll find out how they're doing and some of the kind of the behind-the-scenes sorts of things that are so critical to make this project work. Also, we've got scheduled a representative from the upcoming Oak Creek Nation Youth Livestock Show. We're going to find out what they've got lined up there and maybe a couple things about some sheep, heifers, goats. And finally, we've got some folks from the Mvskoke Loan Fund coming in to explain what that program's all about, who's eligible, and what it takes to obtain a loan from the fund there. So it might be something in there in the works for you if you've got interest in business or something like that. First of all, though, let me welcome to the studios here Veronica Pipestem and Stephen Watts. They are some of the folks working on our Council House project. Welcome. We appreciate you all making time here for us this morning. It's always a great idea for us to find out how the sort of the crown jewel of downtown Okmulgee is doing. So welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Okay, let's kind of get the titles and the jobs straightened out here. First of all, Veronica, you are now the director?
Yes, that's correct. I'm the director of the Mvskoke Creek Nation Cultural Center and Archives.
Okay, a big title there. And Stephen?
I'm with Council Oak Development Engineering Construction, also known as CODEC. I'm the development project manager with this expertise in historic tax credits.
Okay, marvelous name there, Council Oak. Kind of gets us off to the start. Now, we had Principal Chief James Floyd in a couple of weeks back, and one of the questions we tossed at him is how the Council House project is doing. So, Veronica, let's start with you. If you can give us a kind of a capsule idea of what's going on there and where we are. This sort of thing.
Sure. Since the appropriation, I think that occurred in May, which was an appropriation that funded the rehabilitation or construction project on the Council House, but it also authorized us to pursue and apply for historic preservation tax credits. In that time, we have some great news. We've been working on getting the application completed for the historic preservation tax credits and setting up all of the structures to garner those tax credits or to collect them. And so that's what it's been taking up until this time. We have great news to report that we have been approved to receive those historic preservation tax credits, which is, in a nutshell, 40% off of every dollar that we spend on construction for the Council House.
You're talking about, the financing and, where the buck's going to come from, which is critical. A lot of people don't look at that end of the business. They think of seeing workmen out there and cementing blocks back into place and this sort of thing. But this is absolutely critical to getting this job done, right?
Yes, and this is just part of the planning process. Also planning when you do historic buildings. We've been working with the architects now, I guess for a couple of years, to make sure that we're being very true to the Council House and its structural integrity, what it looked like in 1906. That's kind of the date that we're kind of trying to target in on. But also that we're being good stewards of the Mvskoke Creek Nation financial resources. So this tax credit project is going to save the Mvskoke people about over $1 million. That's what the projected amount is at this point. So that will finish the project.
Save $1 million. That's really good news. Now, Stephen, where do you fit in on this process?
So I'm consulting on the tax credit process, the historic tax credit process, and lending expertise also on the construction side and the overall development. So I'm the project manager, I guess, so to speak, on the tax credit piece.
Okay, so in that task, what are the kind of things that you worry about?
Making sure that the architect has considered every aspect that the National Park Service might look at in their drawings that they're submitting, making sure that the narratives are correct, making sure that the structure, the legal structure is set up properly, and making sure that all of the expenses are what they call qualified reimbursable expenses and can be eligible for tax credits.
In other words, you got to spend $1 on what you said you were going to do and no surprises.
That's correct.
We, of course, spoke to the chief about the project, and we've heard various citizens mention how concerned they were and happy that things are happening. At one point, the financing from the council was kind of in a crisis. It was like, do we save this historic piece of our history, or do we fund contract health care? And that was a tough balancing act for the council to have to deal with. Now, you're finding new monies and new ways to finance it, plus the support from the council now, so that's the major hurdle, I guess, if there are, in getting this project taken care of.
Yes, we were looking into all of our funding options at the time, and we are taking in the approach where we don't want to just simply come to the council every time and ask them to fund every dollar for these historic projects, especially with all of the other considerations that the council and the Mvskoke Creek government is facing. And so we looked into grants, we looked into other mechanisms for funding, and really this tax credit project, the tax credit project was the biggest bang for our buck and the best use of our resources. And so that's why we decided on that.
Another question in that same vein, if you were to explain in using percentages then, how much of this is tribal money and how much of this is from other sources? Stephen, anybody?
Yeah, it's about, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, the historic tax credits will be about 30% of the overall project costs.
And 70% then would come from tribal sources. Mm-hmm. Well, in a way, that's a sense of pride. We rebuilt this place. Mm-hmm. We've been watching this building every week for a couple of years now, and we were really worried about whether or not the ground was going to sink and take out a wall, or the cupola was going to collapse and things like that. It was really in sad shape because of its age and the weather and this sort of thing. But now we're looking at changing all that and seeing hammer and nails and plaster and cement and this kind of thing. Kind of giving our listeners an idea of when this will be taking place. So what's your projected date?
So you'll start seeing a fence go up here in the next couple weeks. We'll have subcontractors crawling all over the building, and then actual work will be starting hopefully before the end of February.
Okay, and what will they be doing? I mean, are there any particular areas they're concentrating on? Or?
It's going to be full renovation, so every aspect of the building is going to be worked on to some degree. There are some areas of the building that are going to be taken out that were renovations added in the 90s, and it'll be restored more to its 1906 state. So you'll see a lot of work going on the interior, which won't be able to see from the street, but there will also be work going on the exterior as well.
We've had several discussions about changes and updates and modernization of that building, but you projecting or talking about 1907 as being kind of the idea in mind. What will happen to things like modern plumbing and things like that? Will that be kind of tucked away and retained, or going to completely what would they say, remaster the whole place?
Mm-hmm. And the bathroom will be retained, so there will still be a restroom. It will not be, there won't be many changes to the bathroom. The kitchenette that's there will not be there anymore, because that was actually the chief's office, and so that will look like the principal chief's office in 1906. And so we're doing we've done lots of research and completed that, and we do have an interpretive plan which kind of outlines what the inside inside is going to look like and what visitors to the council house will be seeing when they come in. And so that kitchenette will be gone. There won't be a whole lot of museum cases for things. It will be much more, some of the plans that we have for it, if funded, are going to be things like old roll-top desks or partners desks from the turn of the century. And we're working with someone who does beautiful work on cases, so people will be able to sit down at those desks. For example, one of the cases might be hollowed out, the top of the desk part, and we'll have original items from the council house in there that people can look at as they sit at the desk. They can pull the drawers open, and there will be original items there as well, or there will be replica items that people can actually touch and handle. While we will have some original items in what you would typically think of as museum cases, we're going to try to minimize those as much as we can so that really visitors can experience and sit down at the desk and look at the chairs and touch things as they go in and experience what they saw there or what happened at the council house. And so that being said, the kitchenette will be removed. The bathroom will stay. There will be a lift added in the second room, which is the Claims Commission, I believe. That will be a really actually very beautiful to look at. It'll have glass walls, but it will also provide access to visitors who may not be able to get up the stairs to the second floor, because we do plan on having council meetings there or committee meetings as well as the council sees fit. And so we do want to ensure that citizens can make it to the second floor to attend these meetings as well.
That's wonderful. Now, you mentioned names and rooms. I've always kind of wondered what this room was used for when I walked through that, or what this is for, and this, what went in here, So you're actually going to have some explanation, some backup material to give people an idea of what actually took place in this part?
That's the main scope of what the council house will be reinterpreted to serve as, is to explain those things and to say, this is what happened here. This is who was here during this period of about 1868 until 1906. This is who was here. These are the types of things they were dealing with, the Mvskoke Creek people were dealing with at the time, the elected officials, the House of Kings and the House of Warriors. So we'll give an explanation of these different offices, what they served as, but also very much we want to, as a historic site, we want to concentrate on what happened in the past, but also to make sure in our interpretation or reinterpretation of this space that people know that it's still happening. It's not something that just happened in the past and the Mvskoke people aren't here anymore, or that they don't govern themselves. We very much want to make it something that links that time period with the present Mvskoke Creek Nation government and people. So.
It's sort of a living, breathing, working example of our government. You mentioned sitting at a desk and being able to open a drawer. Shall we caution people now, you can touch, but please don't take?
Yes. Some of the other things that we're proposing, we really want to talk about the role the light horsemen played at the council house as well, and to talk about the Supreme Court and the executions and all of those things. And we want to get past just talking about, there were executions on the lawn, but really talking about different ways and forms of looking at justice and the notions of justice with the Creek Nation. And I think that's something that's really important to get past that surface level of, this is an execution that happened here, but why and how those things were dealt and how they were decided. And so talking about that in the Supreme Court room is very important to this project, I believe, and to the Mvskoke people to understand that.
Now, you mentioned kind of a dramatization. Now, I saw one several years back, a trial of a man who I believe was accused of murder, and they went through the process and stood him up next to a tree, and I think he used his own rifle to take care of that. But are we going to see more of that sort of thing?
Are you speaking about the execution of Timmy Jack?
There you are. Thank you. God, for a second there, it just completely flew out of my mind. But anyway.
We will certainly cover those topics. We want to talk about not only the execution of Timmy Jack, and that one is kind of noteworthy because it's one of the last ones that occurred under the council house government era. But we're also going to talk about all of the other Supreme Court actions during that time. So that will be one in many things that gets covered in that room to really talk about how justice was served. And that's why the light horsemen also play a part in that, and because they were the ones that went out and served the justice many times in the orders of the Supreme Court. So we will be talking about that, and we do have the script actually in our records of the dramatization. And so that is certainly something that we're looking into, is doing that dramatization as well, because it's very much in script form, and it was done, I think it's been done for many years actually. And so be looking forward to things like that, but also be looking forward to actual council meetings occurring there as well. There will be other audio elements in the council house that we do have planned. Like, for example, you may hear hymns sung because that was part of the rules and regulations in the House of Warriors before they started a meeting, which is still goes on today with the National Council. And so there'll be things when people walk into a room, it'll trigger some audio. Those are some of the things that we have planned for that, is really to give visitors more of an experience as of what it would have been like there.
Oh, marvelous. Now, Stephen, as you spend your time on this project, what sort of, I guess, reaction do you have as you see this thing happening and see its importance to our people? How does it hit you, so to speak?
Well, I've really enjoyed learning about the history of the council house. Before I was involved in this project, I didn't really have a familiarity with it, so it has hit home quite a bit, and it does mean a lot to be able to contribute to a building that means so much to the Mvskoke Creek Nation and its citizens. I think preserving it is the exactly correct thing to do, that it's going to benefit citizens for many years to come, and so I'm just happy to play a small part in that.
We had the head of the National Museum of the American Indians here last year, and he took time to go through the building, Kevin Gover, and we sat him down for an interview, and one thing that he said that struck me was that we are probably one of the few tribes that have such an existing structure still as part of our culture and government. And that's a pretty heavy load to carry, I guess, seeing historically where it fits in. Do you have any thoughts about that, Victoria, about, setting an example for other tribes or even for our own people here?
One of the things that we really have tried to convey in this project is to say that this is the only pre-statehood building that's owned by the Mvskoke Creek Nation. And so when we were planning on what function it would serve after the construction was done, there are a lot of things that could have occurred with it, but one of the things that we really wanted to be true to was what it did, how it served, and how it continues to serve the Mvskoke Creek people. And so, and I've said this before too, is that the dignity of the Mvskoke Creek people needs to be honored in this building, and it needs to be represented there. And so that's where we kind of came up and conceptualized the idea of turning it more into a historic site. And so there will be less art per se in the building, and more story about what happened there, because we really feel like it's important. Our staff felt like it was really important, and I feel like the nation has supported us in making that claim to say that it's very important to talk about what happened there. Mvskoke people built this building, they funded it, they planned it, and they used it, and to talk about what they did there. And so very much going back to that and taking it back to that. It's kind of a simple notion, but it's something that we felt really compelled to do.
The location of the council house is smack dab in the middle of downtown, and we've seen the community reaction to projects, Okmulgee Rising, I believe it's called, and a revitalization of the downtown area. Now, have you two actually worked with the local community here in playing a part in that revival? Have you? If not, do you have plans to? What's been the reaction?
The Mvskoke Creek Nation Cultural Center and Archives we've put on the Council House Food and Art Market every year, which is a big community event that happens during the Mvskoke Festival. Once we're back down here, we certainly plan on doing more programming on the lawn and that sort of thing. And also, if you've noticed, our department is kind of spearheading the purchase of the building across the street
right.
from the council house, and our plans for that are that it will serve as the council house visitor center, which will, because of the nature of what the council house is going to be turned into as a historic site, we didn't want to put offices in it. We didn't want to do anything like that in it. We wanted to keep it more of a historic recreation, and so putting offices in it would disrupt that. We really felt so. The visitor center, we plan on having our office space, a rotating gallery there, a gift shop, which we have online and up and running, the Red Stick Gallery. So we just retained the name from the Council House, Creek Council House Museum. And classroom and lecture space. So if someone wanted to come in and do a talk on a book or art or something like that, that would be a place that we could have some public space there downtown. And that there would be a greater Mvskoke Creek Nation presence downtown as well through that.
Okay, well, we need to wrap this up. But Stephen, one quick question now. Is the funding situation all squared away? Is what you do comfortably dealt with, or have we got have any more challenges or wonderful surprises, accomplishments?
It's squared away. We're actually working towards a financial closing in the early part of February, so then we'll just be able to move full steam ahead.
That's wonderful to hear that word closing. I just love it. Veronica, now, if someone wanted to get in touch with you and volunteer time or become part of what you're doing, how do they get in touch with you?
We certainly are looking for that. We'll be looking for docents as volunteers, and you can get a hold of us. Our main office number for the Cultural Center and Archive is 918-549-2434.
Now, docent is a fancy schmancy word for a guide.
Tour guide, yes.
Okay. All right, well, thank you so much, Veronica Pipestem and Stephen Watts, for coming down and filling us in. That's just so wonderful to hear all these accomplishments. I mean, the critical foundation of what is needed here. We're going to have you all back to kind of fill us in. I understand there are some wonderful things in the calendar months ahead, so we'll want to stay up with that. So thank you again. We're going to take a short pause here, and we'll be back, and we're going to find out a little bit more about the livestock show, so y'all stay around.
I started doing it when I was 11. I wanted to be just like my big brother. And some of my friends were already doing it. We got hooked fast. I just can't get enough. I'm Jacob, and I'm addicted to playing the drums.
There's lots of stuff that makes it cool to be Native. Doing meth isn't one of them. Find something better to do. Check out ncai.org. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Who am I? Am I Native? I don't want people assuming things because I'm Indian. I just want to be me. But how do I live in two worlds? Some guys just check out by doing meth. But that ain't for me. Because I see my family, my friends, my drum making, my future. There are a lot of cool things about being who I am. And meth isn't one of them.
Learn more at ncai.org. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
One Fire Casino in Altmulgee offers Ladies' Day every Monday with $5 match play, VIP days for seniors on Tuesdays, lunchtime match plays on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and several other great drawings and prizes throughout the weekend. Don't forget to take advantage of spinning the wheel on Sundays to win up to $5,000 cash. Be sure to check out the daily meal specials at Council Oak Cafe. There are exciting monthly giveaways with extravagant prizes. Come and play at One Fire Casino, where it really is okay to play with fire.
Welcome back to Mvskoke Radio here in 1240 The Brew. Beautiful downtown and cloudy Mvskoke here today. Mvskoke. Oh my God. I'm looking at a flyer that says Mvskoke Nation. Altmulgee. Mvskoke's got its own weather problem. Welcome to the studio, Carly Hotbed. Now, you are here to talk about the Mvskoke Creek Nation's All Indian Rodeo Livestock Show, right?
That's correct.
Okay, sure, got that almost correct. Now, we've had folks talk about this project before, and it's a delightful thing to talk about. Now, what have y'all got lined up? First of all, tell me, where did this come from and why, kind of thing.
Sure. This livestock show originated with was formerly known as the Creek Nation Ag Youth Program, or 4-H program, and we've since gone through a rebranding to reflect that we are not just limited to 4-H. We also provide support to FFA programs for our Native Youth Citizen participants. So we're really excited to be able to continue this show. It gives an opportunity for Native youth to come out and exhibit their livestock projects and compete and have a good idea as far as where they're at competitively, and give them an opportunity to really advance their agricultural projects.
One of the things that was stuck in my mind was the word rodeo, and this is not what we're talking about, right?
That's correct. This is a livestock show. So we have 4 species that we will be providing opportunities for exhibition. We do sheep and goats on January 27th, and then market hogs and heifers and steers on the 28th.
The show involves these young people bringing out the animals they've raised.
That's correct.
And kind of competing, saying what's the best looking or what's got the best characteristics.
Absolutely. Well, this is a market show primarily, so there's a couple of different ways that livestock are exhibited, whether it's a breeding program or market program. Market programs focus on the animals as products for consumption. So we want to see good muscle, that the animals travel well, that they are going to be acceptable for market sale.
So we're talking about showing people where their food comes from.
Exactly. This is a really great opportunity for people to come out and see prime examples of what quality of feed and food animals look like.
Okay. Now, have you been part of this show in the past?
I haven't had the opportunity to participate in this show previously. I'm actually new to this newly created Division of Agriculture and Natural Resources. We're really excited about the opportunity to revamp and invigorate some of the programs that the nation has, and this is one opportunity that we have here. We're really excited about the All Indian Livestock Show because it is so popular, and we're actually close to outgrowing our venue at this point. So.
Oh boy, that sounds good. Now, have you ever do you raise these animals yourself?
When I was in high school and younger than that even, I participated in 4-H and FFA, and we raised, my family did, show hogs. So I'm very familiar with the hog aspect of it, and I did step in and have showed a couple of other species as well when my friends needed an extra hand because they had extra animals. So I've occasionally shown beef animals, but my focus is hogs. We raised Durocs and Hampshires and some crosses when I was in high school. Had a very successful breeding program.
Okay, well, maybe you can go a step further there. Now, of course, I was raised in Tulsa, and the kind of hogs we ran into were two-legged type. So what are you looking for when you raise a hog for show? I mean, what characteristics are you trying to support?
As the market evolves, the type of animals that we were kind of looking for and the breed standards that we were interested in when I was in high school, and I have to preface this that I graduated in 2002, so it's been close to 15 years since I've been out of school, but as the market evolves, so does the breed standard and what people are looking for as far as what kind of a quality show animal that you're looking for. Right now, the kind of wider set animals with good amounts of muscling, deep chested, large rumped. Those are kind of the animals that we're looking for. Back when my mother and my grandfather were raising hogs when she was in high school, and even before that when he was first an FFA teacher, the market was focused on lard, as lard was used as a material for cooking, so the fatter hogs were actually more desirable at that point. As we transition in our food desires and wants and needs that people are looking for, the animals and the desirable characteristics and traits that are composed within those animals change to reflect the wants of the people.
Okay, well, yeah, I guess people were looking at more healthier food and not necessarily as lard used to be the standard used for cooking.
That's right.
But it's changed now so much so.
Yes.
So the shows and the animals being raised are also being evolving.
That's correct.
Okay.
They evolved to reflect the market demands.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
good. I mean, keeping up with what people actually want.
Right.
Now, you mentioned several breeds there. What kind of categories, classes? What does it take to enter the show?
To enter the show, we look for the administrative components include cash admission. We actually return 100% of the cash that we collect in the form of prize money. So this is run with very little overhead. I'll be there participating along with our MCN youth program manager, Billy Haltom, who has been the standard bearer for this program for quite some time, is very familiar with how this works, and he regrets that he's not able to participate today because he has strep throat. So I agreed to fill in for him. I'm very happy to be here and give some information about this program. Sheep and goats. Generally, younger animals are able to participate in this. Age varies depending upon what the species is, but you show up, pay your cash entry fee. Some animals do require a negative pseudorabies test, which would be our market hog component. And then the classes are divided generally by weight, sometimes by sex as well. So the animals will compete within their weight class, within their breeds. Animals will be selected as top ranking, top performing. The breed champions will be selected, and then from the breed champions, they'll go on to compete with the other breed champions to select a grand champion or reserve champion for each species.
As we watch our nation's economy go through its changes and agony, we've seen a lot of different interests rise and wane and disappear in some cases. How important and how popular, I guess, is the raising of these animals to creek young people?
Sure. From my perspective, the traditional and cultural heritage that Mvskoke Creek Nation citizens have with agriculture production is readily apparent. I mean, you take a look at the Great Seal and you see that there's a plow and a shock of corn, or a shock of wheat that are in that seal that we see, which shows that Mvskoke Creek Nation citizens have been tied to agriculture in the land for quite some time. I think that the participation and perspective in agriculture has maybe not gotten as much attention as it could have, but there are significant opportunities for Mvskoke Creek Nation youth to participate in these agricultural programs, especially considering the trend towards food sovereignty that we have. We'd love to encourage anybody to come out who'd be eligible for our program. We serve ages 8 through 18, and have a really good opportunity. We provide livestock grant funds for people to be able to acquire their own show animals if they would like to participate in that. We also sponsor speech contest. So that exposure to agriculture provides some opportunities that kids might not otherwise have to learn how to raise their own animals, have a profitable enterprise, and expand on public speaking skills, which we're really excited about providing those opportunities for.
If a young person was interested in entering, what are the guidelines there? What's the eligibility?
Sure. Eligibility is ages 8 to 18, enrolled tribal citizen with the Mvskoke Creek Nation. We encourage applicants and participants to be affiliated with their county 4-H program or with their local FFA program. We provide complimentary and supplementary services to those programs. We actually sent out a survey last year to kind of get an idea of where our program has been and what kind of direction that our participants would like to see it going. And we received an overwhelming response, a positive response for the program, and quite a few of our, respondents indicated that but for the Mvskoke Creek Nation program, they would not be able to have access to these agricultural activities in their area.
Okay, and who should they contact and what number? And Billy, if you're listening, we hope you get well so you can answer some of these calls.
Sure. Billy would actually be the individual to contact. That's Billy Haltom. His office line is 918-732-7628, and we're more than happy to provide information about how to join.
Here's a question, perhaps a little odd. Is the competition pretty stiff? I mean, kind of rough, and like people really proud of their animals and kind of.
I think people are really proud of their animals. I think it's a good opportunity to get a good idea of where your animal would place in this particular show if you wanted to take it on to, say, a state fair, either in Oklahoma City or Tulsa. We see a lot of competition within the agricultural or youth agricultural programs here within Oklahoma. So I think it's a really good reflection of what kind of quality animals are out there. I'm really excited and really proud to be able to see the level of sophistication that some of our program participants bring to the show ring.
Well, it's such an important part of our economy, particularly for our tribe in this rural area. I mean, it's a mainstay, I'm going to presume. And if someone wanted to talk to you again, or Billy, what's the number? How do they contact you?
Sure. Billy can be contacted at his office line, 918-732-7628, or I can be contacted directly at my office line, 918-549-2550.
Okay. Anything else you'd care to add?
We really look forward to people coming out. We're also, this is a good opportunity for volunteers, so if anybody's interested in volunteering, we're more than happy to encourage people to turn out and come on down, or if you just want to watch and see a really great livestock exhibition, this is a good opportunity to see that as well.
Okay, time, date, location.
Sure. We start January 27th for sheep and goats. The official weigh-in starts at 6 o'clock, so I would encourage people to get there a little bit early if they'd like to exhibit. If you're there to watch, show starts at 6:30. Market hogs are the next day. Weigh-ins at 9. Show begins at 9:30, and steers will be immediately after the hog show.
Okay, and where is it taking place?
Sure, it is at the Okfuskee County Fairgrounds, which is at 999 East Columbia Street in Okemah.
Okay, at least you didn't say Mvskoke. Okay, well, Carly, thank you so much for coming in and filling us in. We hope you have a really successful show. And I know y'all might be eating some of that product out there.
I hope so. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, Widow. We're going to take another short pause here, and we're going to be back with Liz Gray, who's going to talk to folks about the Mvskoke Loan Fund. So stay with us here on Mvskoke Radio, here on 1240 The Brew.
Who am I? Am I Indian? Just 'cause I'm a girl from the res, don't make things up about me. What if I move away? Then who am I? Some kids try meth just to escape, but then I think about my grandma, my little brother, my beadwork, my poetry, and I think, I like who I am, and I know meth is not for me.
Check out ncai.org, a message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Hear that? That's the sound of hope being killed by meth. Methamphetamine use is causing huge problems in our community. Hear that? That's the sound of something you can do about it. Events like rodeo, res ball, and family time can help keep kids away from meth.
Talk to your kids. Keep our culture alive. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Learn more at ncai.org.
Welcome back to Mvskoke Radio. I'm Liz Gray. Today we have Jerry Wilson and Thunder White Cloud from the Mvskoke Loan Fund. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Good morning.
They're here today. They're going to tell us a little bit about Mvskoke Loan Fund. If you can just go ahead and start off, a little bit about it.
Yeah, we're excited. The Mvskoke Loan Fund was created to supply capital to low-income communities, especially in the rural areas, and so besides supplying capital, we provide development services, credit counseling, business development, business training workshops. But our whole intent is to try to build more small businesses in the rural communities.
Okay. You said that you do business planning workshops and credit counseling. Can you kind of?
Sure, I'm going to refer it to Thunder because he's getting ready to launch a series of workshops, okay, and he can kind of let you know the first one.
Yeah, so we're gonna do a series of 12 business workshops throughout our communities. Then we're gonna do 24 3-hour workshops, either focused on budgeting, financial planning, networking, social media. But we're going to get that kick-started. The first one we're going to do is in Morse, and that's going to be in the beginning of February. we haven't really set an exact date yet. But that's, like I said, that's going to be the business seminars. And then we're just going to kind of see what each community feels like they want to focus on. And so it's just going to feed off the community.
Okay, where would they need to contact to get, do you have anywhere that, do they just need to call you?
Yeah,
or?
they can call us at our office. We're located in the housing building, but our numbers are 918-549-2605. They can contact me, but we're going to do a press release, and of course we'll put it on the marquee once we get those scheduled.
And they'll register and everything.
Yeah, it's open to nationwide.
Okay.
So
okay, all right. And is there cost? Or
there's
anything?
no cost to the citizen, no cost to the community. It's been part of a grant from HUD, so it's grant funded, and we just gotta do it.
Okay, awesome. Okay, also, what kind of loans are you kind of, wanting to offer to Muskogee citizens? You said small business.
Yeah, right now our maximum threshold was $50,000 loans.
Okay.
And the appealing part of these loans is they're calculated at a lower interest rate than a traditional lender would provide. So an applicant can come in and enjoy as low as a 5.25% interest rate, up to maybe a 7%, as opposed to 9 or 10% with their traditional lender. And a lot of our loans are high-risk loans because, again, some of the low-income people in the rural area hadn't sometimes had a chance to develop a strong credit background. So that's where Thunder and others come into play in terms of credit counseling, help them build that credit back up. At the same time, for us to be just a little more flexible in working with them to try to get the kind of money they need to start a business.
Okay, awesome. Do the businesses have to be within the Muskogee Creek district, or can it be outside as long as they're a Creek citizen, or is there limitations, on area?
Our primary trade market is the Creek Nation territory. However, we do have some funds we could loan to Creek citizens outside our market area. Okay. But we also have a referral network with other native CDFIs that we can refer someone to that even in some cases can make a lot higher loans than we can and can work with Indian applicants. So we have a pretty good solid referral network list that we can refer applicants to also.
Awesome. Can you go in a little bit more to credit counseling? What do they need to bring to you to be able to start with the credit? I saw that you guys were associated with ONAC, which is the Oklahoma Native Assets Coalition, and I was wondering, it seemed like it was associated with that. What do they need to bring to you, and what information do they need in order to start building their credit back up? Yeah,
so initially when they come in, sometimes they just drop by, but if they set up an appointment time with me, we can fill out the authorization form to pull that credit. And then sometimes that works best to pull the credit first to see which accounts they have and that they may or may not know they have. And then we can say, well, do you have this paperwork from this collection agency? But if they kind of have an idea of already what they know what's going on, they can bring in that information, but it's not a necessity. Because a lot of the time they're not going to have that information anyway. And so when we pull that credit, it's considered a soft inquiry. It doesn't hurt their credit at all, and it gives the official scores from each bureau. So you have your 3 scores, and that's your definitive score at that time. And then on that form, it has the list of accounts, account numbers, and contact information, and that kind of gives us a blueprint of who we need to contact or what's going on with each account. Okay. And then we can go from there.
Okay. So let's say we get it all together. Business owner is ready to get a loan. What are some examples of the loans? I know you said you had the amount, is it $50,000? And are there just do you have different options besides just this is the set amount?
Well, again, in our loan policy, we also honor a little bit what we call sweat equity. We we'd like to have the applicant have about 20% capital base going in with the loan. So if they have a $50,000 project, then we'd like for them to have around $10,000 of capital, either equipment or cash or again, in our loan policy, we recognize sweat equity, so we have a calculation on that where if someone has put some time and energy in that proposed business, then we will calculate that and you honor that as part of the equity position they're putting in. So I think that's good because sometimes they don't know that until we make them aware of that. Okay. But so again, our threshold currently is $50,000. So we want to grow that over a period of time, obviously.
Okay. And another question I had was, what's some of the biggest roadblocks that potential business owners tend to have that you can help them with?
Well, of course, we have different types of skill sets on some of our applicants, meaning some of them have came in with some business knowledge, some college background, et cetera. Then we have others who have great business ideas that have never written a business plan or completed a loan package. So we have, of course, we have an application package that we give to them. Then we can give them samples of business plans, and we can coach them through some decision making. I mean, for instance, they may need to know what type of legal entity we were going to create. Is this going to be a sole proprietorship, a partnership, a limited liability company, a corporation? So we can kind of walk them through that. And of course, the tribe has the Uniform Commercial Code, and some of our applicants have actually filed their LLCs under the Uniform Commercial Code of the tribe. Talk to them a little about counting, whether it's cash basis or accrual basis, and in fact, we supplied, I think, 7 last month with QuickBooks training. If you're familiar with QuickBooks, it's a pretty simplified system for doing accounting. So if you know how to enter information from a checking account, it makes it accounting made easy type deal. So with a little training, they could be doing their own books. And then they can take those income statements to their local tax preparer to help them with their taxes. So a lot of it has to do with us evaluating their skill set and then just answer some of their questions that they may have going into it, and then help them. For instance, again, some of them have never completed a balance sheet, so we show them how to complete a balance sheet, how to fill it out, and show them some samples and some profit and loss statements and those kind of things. And then again, we recommend them to attend one of our workshops because we put together a specialized curriculum just for Native American clients, and to walk them through how to put together a business plan and what those models look like, and so they can actually sit all day in class and learn some techniques in terms of putting together a business plan. So obviously the whole romance of a business plan is, what does that look like financially? And if there's a projection of a net profit, now you get somebody's attention. So for them to again package that and bring it together for the loan committee to review, then that's where one of our development services are, to help them do that.
Awesome, that's great. I know that business plan, it sounds like it's a whole thesis statement coming into it. You know, it can sound scary, all the things that come with business. You know, you have an idea of what you want to do. Like, this is my passion, this is what I want to do, and that next step can be scary. If you could tell me some of your success, you know, who you serve or who you've served and some of your success stories.
Well, that's what makes entrepreneurship great, in my opinion, because it starts with an ideal. And you know, here we have a real successful company right in Preston, Oklahoma, and started out with the owner and I think his son, and they already have 12 people working. And they provide services all over the state of Oklahoma in terms of safety and systems that they install. So here we have a rural-based company that has export services all over the state of Oklahoma and some of the surrounding states. It has grown to 12 employees. And I really anticipate that growth is going to continue with that company. So there's a good example. Another applicant or entrepreneur, he likes to drive. So he started a pilot car business where he's driving all the United States. I think he put 300,000 miles on the van that he purchased with the Mvskoke Loan Fund, and has got to see all the country all across the United States. and at the same time make a living and make a profit for his business. We have another guy started a pest control business, so he's around taking care of some of those little things we don't want in our house or our shops, and creates contracts with clients and services on a regular basis. So again, that's what I like about entrepreneurship is, especially with today's technology. I think another good example, not under this, but all of you have heard of Restacup. That lady started in her home. Started this little home-based business, and now has 2 big stores in Tulsa, a number of employees, and with the internet has sales all over the United States. And I've seen that happen a lot of times where somebody just started with an idea or product right there in their garage, and all of a sudden they got sales going all over the United States because of the internet. And so I think that's another thing is we can refer people to, how do you do e-commerce? What does a web page look like, and what does a security site mean, and how do you install PayPal and all that. And so if they have an idea and they can get that going where they're located at, and with some of the technology that we can refer them to, they can do anything's possible.
Yeah, is that something that you would be interested in? I know that it's 2017. There are so many internet shops. There's Etsy. Etsy's a huge one, and there's so many shops for the little things that you do to the big things, to the artistry. Have you considered, can you help someone like that that's like, I want to get this shop going, I need just a little bit of information and funding and just an idea of
Well, of course, our goal is providing the funding, but we do have some referral network people that we can refer them to. And you may not heard of SCORE. SCORE is a retired business executives that volunteer their time to potential entrepreneurs, and so we have contact there that we could set them up with some retired business executives to set them, coach them through the business development process. And it's all free. These are volunteers. They spend their time doing this. We have connections with the Small Business Administration, with the Minority Business Development Center in Tulsa. So we have several other partnership agencies that we can, as a team, you might say, help those people grow and get in business and get started. So yeah, we can help them.
That's amazing. That's great. I mean, that's something for opportunity. There's so many businesses and so much potential. Within Mvskoke Creek Nation. I think that's great that you guys are offering that. And wanting to help, and that accounting and those numbers, they can be intimidating. And for someone to help guide, that can, push forth some successful businesses.
Yeah. And if I could make just a couple more comments, obviously entrepreneurs create jobs, but it improves the quality of life in the rural community. To me, it also supports the whole concept of sovereignty, because with the tribes being a sovereign tribe and having an economic network that can help support and improve the quality of life, I think is a great system. And I also just want to mention that our services would not be limited just to individuals. We would be willing to visit with some of the Mvskoke Creek Nation charter communities that may be looking for financing, and see if we can work with them too. So we'd be willing to do that too.
Okay. I have a quick question. Are there any dangerous businesses you don't fund? Are there certain types of business that you're like, well, we don't feel comfortable with helping?
Not necessarily. The only thing we won't deal with is what's considered passive income. So, maybe you're prospecting land, or you want to purchase a home to renovate, to flip that. We won't do that. You want to purchase an apartment complex and become a landlord. We won't support those things. But as far as excluding a risky business, it's really comes down to that paperwork and what the citizen fills out, and that's what we judge off is when we underwrite what's in the application, those financials, their credit report, and the collateral. So we don't judge them by, that's not a good idea. We won't say that. We want to support the citizen and their ideas and help them accomplish their dreams in whatever manner that may be in.
So if there's a Mvskoke liquor store wanting to pop up, you can fund that.
Yeah, absolutely.
No
It's
reservations.
It's a retail entity.
So there's no judgment whatsoever in
No.
the purpose of the business, as long as you're not trying to flip a house.
If we see something, if we see kind of a red flag in terms of environmental review, we can help coordinate having the business do environmental review before they finish their business plan, those kind of things.
Okay. All right. And if you could tell everyone how to get in touch with you guys, so they can get their passion in business started.
Yeah. So, like I said, we're located in the housing building on Highway 75, north of the main complex. You can reach us at 918-549-2605. And that's my number, and then we can work from there. We also have our email addresses. Mine is twhitecloud@mcn-nsn.gov. So if you want to email us, but usually it's phone.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys for coming in and letting us know a little bit about business loans and opportunities.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to take a quick break real fast, and we'll be back with community announcements.
Who am I? Am I Indian? Just 'cause I'm a girl from the res, don't make things up about me. What if I move away? Then who am I? Some kids try meth just to escape, but then I think about my grandma, my little brother, my beadwork, my poetry, and I think, I like who I am, and I know meth is not for me.
Check out ncai.org, a message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Thank you for listening to our program so far. We've got a few community announcements we'd care to share in our last few minutes. Of course, there's the community All Indian Livestock Show.
Oh, yeah. The All Indian Livestock Show is going to be January 27th through the 28th. That is going to be in Okemah. Let's see. That's 4 species, 2 days, great prizes. Entire show, 100% payback. It's open to all Creek youth, open to all Native American youth 19 years and older. You can get a hold of Billy Haltom. That's at 918-732-7628.
And if you talk to Billy, you understand he's still getting over his strep throat, so he sounds a little rough there. We all know that the Standing Rock Sioux water protectors were trying to change things involving the Dakota Access Project. Now, if you're interested in learning a little bit more, there's an opportunity coming up on the 19th called Tulsa Stands with Standing Rock. And Dennis Banks, one of the founders of the American Indian Movement, will be speaking about the continuing efforts at Standing Rock up in North Dakota, and joining him is a panel of experts and activists who will answer questions from the public. So you've got a chance to talk with him and ask your questions. Donations will be collected because it ain't cheap to put these things on, and those will be given to the water protectors at the Ucheti-Sakuin camp in North Dakota. Now, they have a Facebook page at Tulsa Stands with Standing Rock for more details. That's January the 19th from 6 until 8 p.m. at the All Souls Unitarian Church in Tulsa at 2952 South Peoria Avenue.
MCM Tribal TANF is offering a poverty awareness seminar January 25th. Topics of discussion will be what is poverty, solutions for overcoming poverty, breaking the cycle of independence, and we get to hear from a guest speaker that's going to be at the Mound Building from 9:30 to 12. You can get a hold of them at 918-732-7985.
Okay, if you're a first-time home buyer and need some education, there's a class coming up on the 28th in the Housing Building, second floor conference room. Mortgage, down payment, closing costs, a lot of information and the topics that they're going to be covering. That's coming up on the 28th at 8 a.m. in the Housing Building, second floor conference room.
The Tulsa Creek Community Meeting, Thursday, January 26th at 7 p.m. All Creeks needed and invited. Join today. Bring the kids. Youth group available as well.
Okay, thanks for listening. This is Gary Fife.
And this is Liz Gray.
Mado Mabo Hejitskat. You've been listening to Mvskoke Radio. Join us again next week for more local, tribal, and community news and updates. Mado.